A very good evening to you. Thank you very much for making the time to be with us tonight on Checkpoint. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole, and our sign language interpreter is Meresha Owiti. All right, we want to start off with our top story today. In the world of politics, the ODM party staged a major rally at Kibra in Nairobi with a call to residents to vote out the ruling Jubilee government over the high cost of living and corruption in government. The party held the rally with a call from party leader Raila Odinga to be named the National Super Alliance flag bearer. This came even as Raila's co-principals campaigned for the presidential ticket. Murimi Mwangi reports.
The triumphant entry of ODM leaders into Kibra in Nairobi, where party leader Raila Odinga, for a second time in just 1 week, announced that the opposition will have a separate tallying center. Raila argues that this will help counter-check the official results announced by the electoral body IEBC.
Hiyo ndio itaizuia atakuambiwa ati IEBC peke yake, hapana. IEBC itatangaza yao na tutafananisha na yetu.
While accusing the Jubilee government of condoning runaway corruption in government and failing to contain the rising cost of living, the ODM leaders rallied Kibra residents to vote out the Jubilee government. They said Raila should be named the flag bearer for the opposition alliance.
Shilingi 40. Sawa sawa. Na leo ni ngapi? 200. Hata jana nyumbani nilifika. Nikauliza wapi ugali? Mama akasema bei ya ugali iko juu. Watu wa ODM mushiwe hata na wasiwasi kidogo. Kalonzo kondani kabisa NASA.
But in Kisii County, NASA co-principal Moses Wetangula was busy receiving Kitutu Chache South MP Richard Onyonka, who ditched the ODM party for Fort Kenya, headed by Wetangula.
Wana Jubilee are embracing what we call the hyena syndrome of thinking that our hands are going to fall off there for NASA. Itasambaratika. Tunawaambia ngo, hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Tumekula kiapo kati yetu.
Mheshimiwa Wetangula, wewe ukiwa rais, nitakukumbusha kwamba tuhakikisha kwamba tunaanzisha mashtaka kwa Mheshimiwa Uhuru kwa sababu he has committed an economic crime against the children of the Republic of Kenya.
Meanwhile, ANC's Musalia Mudavadi also took his campaigns to Migori County with calls to his NASA counterparts to name him the presidential candidate, even as he denied reports of a looming fallout.
Kwa sababu nguvu zetu ni umoja. Tukijaribu kwenda kando, tugawanyike, hatutapata nafasi ya kung'oa hii serikali ya Jubilee.
Hawa wanne yeyote atachaguliwa, sisi tutamuunga mkono kuwa flag bearer wa NASA. Mtafanya hivyo?
Nilishinda Uhuru na kura hapa Nairobi. Kidero akabwaga Waititu. Sio. Sasa mara hii tutaweza kuwabwaga maradufu.
With the crowning of Raila Odinga as ODM's preferred presidential candidate, the spotlight tilts yet again to the NASA summit comprising the 4 core principles as the clock ticks fast to the August 8th general election. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News, at Kibra, Nairobi County.
Deputy President William Ruto is calling for unity and prayer for peace as the country prepares for the general election. Ruto says Kenyans should focus on the things that will change the country for the better. He was speaking in Umoja, where he attended a service at the Umoja Deliverance Church.
And even as we look at 2017, Bishop,
continue to pray for all of us who are yearning for leadership, so that the men and women who will be elected to take our country forward will be men and women in the purpose and will of God. People who will work for this country, that we shall continue to focus on the things that will change Kenya, on the things that will make our young people have hope.
All right, now several aspirants in the August 8th election risk being locked out of the race if they will be found to have forged their education certificates. The Ministry of Education, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and the Criminal Investigation Department are liaising with political parties to reject the nomination of applicants guilty of forging the documents. Some of the aspirants being investigated include Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho, Kabete MP Ferdinand Waititu, as well as Kiambu Governor William Kabogo. And as Chris Thairu reports, lawyers argue that it will be an uphill task to lock out any of the aspirants.
In the run-up to the 2013 general election, the High Court quashed a nomination certificate issued to Kajiado County Governor candidate Josiah Talaya Ole Kores on a TNA ticket. Ole Kores was blocked from vying the March 4th elections on grounds that his degree, which he attained from a university in Costa Rica, is not recognized by the Commission for Undergraduate Education, hence leaving the current governor, David Nkindenye, to be elected unopposed. 4 years down the line, Ole Kores has gone back to class to attain a degree that will be recognized.
Manifesto yao ni kusema Kores hana stakabadhi za shule. Na ningewaambia wawache udaku, waende shule ile nilikuwa. Andika barua Kenya National Examination Council, uliza kama Ole Kores alikuwa form 4. Andika barua ingine Mount Kenya University, vile Ole Kores kama alikuwa student kule. Ukipata reply, weka kwa gazeti.
And with 4 months to the August 8th elections, the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, CID, and political parties, have launched investigations in a bid to crack down on those aspirants who might have forged their education certificates.
You either have a degree or you don't have one. You're either qualified to be in a university or you don't qualify. It's a black and white situation. It's not an issue that we tell stories about.
If you bring documents to us as IBC, like for example degrees, we shall not be able to know whether they are genuine or not. And that's why IBC came up together with the ESCC, the Office of the Attorney General, and the Office of the Register of Political Parties.
Top on the list of those politicians being investigated for allegations of forgery is Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho. Joho, who recently confessed that he got a D- grade in his KCSE exams, is being accused of having forged his KCSE papers to get admission to the University of Nairobi and later Kampala University, where he attained his degree certificate.
The defense here is not that he does not have a degree certificate, far from it. So the notion that he is going to be barred from contesting the gubernatorial position of Mombasa is very far-fetched. What is available is that he may be charged for forgery. And you know what? There'll be the prosecution to present its case, and there'll be the defense to present its case. However, and this must be very clear, nobody is guilty by the mere fact that you've been charged of an offense.
But according to Lawyer George Kithi, it will not be possible to bar Joho from contesting come the August 8th elections.
If the issuing authority of a degree certificate, for instance, Kampala University, they write to Kampala University to confirm whether this degree certificate belongs to Joho, and Kampala University writes and says it does not belong to Joho, or we never issued it, that's a different story. But if Kampala University authenticates and confirms that this degree certificate belongs to Joho, in fact, then IBC has no basis to question that he must clear the candidate.
More than 100 aspirants for the gubernatorial seats, both incumbent and aspiring, are being investigated for forging their education certificates.
Na watu wengi ambao wanatafuta viti vya ugavana na wameshikilia viti bandia tunawajua, lakini leo hii Heshima Gavana Joe. Tunaambia serikali ya Jubilee, we do not want selective justice. We don't want selective justice. Ikiwa kweli mumeamua kwamba mnapigana vita dhidi ya veti bandia, tungependa kuona watu zaidi ya 200 pale.
According to Article 22, Section 2 of the Elections Act, a person may be nominated as a candidate for election as president, deputy president, county governor, or deputy county governor only if the person is a holder of a degree from a university recognized in Kenya. However, for MPs and members of the county assembly, one only needs a post-secondary school qualification to be allowed to contest.
The minimum has been set out by law. So if the minimum is an attainment of a degree certificate, you have to stop there. Because anybody who has a minimum and who has above the minimum must be admitted to that minimum.
However, some political pundits argue that as much as the education standards are critical, while clearing those contesting for high elective positions, it can easily be misused to settle political differences and even locking out some of their rivals. Chris Dairo, KTN News.
All right, let's move away from politics now. There was drama at the Nyeri bus stage after 2 people suspected of kidnapping 2 children from Bungoma County were accosted by members of the public. The incident involved an employee of the Kingongo prison and 2 women suspected of engaging in kidnapping and child labor.
Members of the public engaging officers from the Kingongo prison in Nyeri in an incident where a prison warder is suspected of kidnapping and engaging 2 children as domestic servants.
Alikuwa na mmoja alikuwa anasema ni ofisa na wamama wawili walikuwa wamewaajili. Sasa tukioja watoto wakasema walikuwa wameibiwa kwa nyanya yao.
Irate members of the public confronted the affected prison officers, but little did they know that the other officers would arrive in numbers to rescue their colleagues.
Wakati lori imeingia wakashuka wawili, askari wawili. Mmoja ndiye alikuwa sasa anaambiwa na driver wake ashoot. Naye pressure ya raia wanasema ashoot juu kuna hawa watoto.
In the ensuing melee, the 2 children were left at the mercy of a good Samaritan. According to one of the affected children, they were ferried by the said officer all the way from Cheptais in Bungoma County to start life as domestic servants.
Mmoja sasa tunawaambia tuende shule hawataki.
Kingongo Prison Deputy Commissioner Peter Mwangi said they were investigating the incident with a view of taking action.
The incident that involved my staff happened this morning, and investigations are underway with the relevant authority, and we shall follow up to the end and to see that justice is done.
The 2 children are currently under police protection, with Nyeri OCPD expected to seek court orders Monday for the safe return of the children back home. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
Now today, Kenya marks 2 years since the fateful Garissa terror attack that left 148 people, mainly students, dead. Jeffrey Olo, a student, survived. The business management student majoring in procurement made the decision to go back to the same university college for his internship. This is his story.
The main interest.
Geoffrey Olo's memories are frozen in time, always with him. It's been 2 years since the fateful Garissa University attack.
This was my hostel. This is where I used to stay. I used to stay in room number 3. And this is the room.
And it hasn't been easy.
We had a friend here. With the name Kangede. Kangede is there. He survived. And then we had good. I had a friend also here. And unfortunately, he died.
On the 4th of January 2016, the Garissa University College was reopened 9 months after 147 students lost their lives in the terror attack.
Watoto wa kutoka sehemu zote za Kenya watakuja kusoma hapa. na hatuwezi kubali ya kwamba magaidi na wakora na wahalifu wafunge chuo kwa nia yao watoto wetu wakose mahali ya kusoma.
I realized that I was not fast enough.
Geoffrey resumed his studies at the Moi University main campus in Eldoret, but for his 3-month attachment program, the business management student majoring in procurement made the decision to go back. He has been living at the staff quarters. This is his way of giving back. The college is teeming with life. In September last year, 200 students were admitted under the government-sponsored program. Out of these, slightly more than half are non-locals. According to the college principal, Professor Ahmed Warfa Osman, less than half of the 470 students selected to join the university showed up. It's not easy to forget what happened, but deliberate steps are being made to move on. The college has 24-hour CCTV surveillance and a battery of officers stationed at the college's police post.
Right now we have 585 students, and the capacity of the university is 800. We had 800 before the attack. Now we have 585 who are all first years.
Today, the second anniversary was commemorated, an event preceded by a marathon attended by local leaders.
Lord, they still need your comfort.
And they also sought God's intervention through interfaith prayers held at the institution. Geoffrey encourages the new students who enroll here to overcome their deepest fears.
With time, we just come to get used to the place. Since security is good, everything is fine.
He looks forward to graduating in June 2018. It's not his place to numb the memories, but to triumph over them and make new ones. Dorcas Wangira, KTN News.
And in Eldoret, as the country marks the second anniversary of the Garissa University attack, memories of that attack are still vivid among students who are undertaking their degree courses there. Elvis Koskei now reports on that 2 years on.
An attack that shook the nation.
Where does my helps come from? My helps come from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth.
Meet Anderson Owala, third-year student at Moi University, Kisses campus. Memories of Garissa University attack are still vivid. Owala recounts how he played dead for hours after he came face to face with the gunmen who sprayed bullets at him, leaving him for dead. He regrets his decision to wake up his best friend Kevin Odongo to accompany him for morning prayers.
It's now become like a problem to me because it's like I was the cause of Kevin's death.
Anderson has permanently lived with killer bullet scars that has dotted his body from head to toes.
They asked in Kiswahili, ati bado nakuona. Alafu wanasema nakuja kukuua saizi. So for the fact that I was alive, I felt like I am the one whom they are seeing.
Owala is lucky to have survived the bullets which shattered his entire body that caused permanent pain inflicted by the bullets.
It's my prayer that wherever they are, even if they are their group, they could know that what they did, it was an evil thing.
It was around that time that Jennifer Koech from Kapkorom village was going about her daily chores. Later, a somber mood descended here after she learned to the shock and bitterness that she had lost her favorite son, Timothy Kiprop Koech.
Imekuwa ngumu. Kweli unaweza sahau, lakini kidogo unastukia, unamkumbuka. Sasa bila habari sisi tulipata, ilikuwa asubuhi mwendo wa saa 2 kasorobo.
Koech narrates how the last 2 years have been difficult to bear. Her son Timothy, a second-year student who pursued Bachelor of Business Management at Garissa University, was her only source of hope.
Sasa saa hiyo wakisema tuomewa 100 si nikaambia roho yangu Timothy hayuko tena.
Her sister Lucy Koech remembers the unfulfilled promise made by Timothy during their last conversation during the holidays.
Na mimi sio chance ya kukaa naye sababu yuko nasi tena, but in spirit tuko pamoja.
Tumewasamea, lakini ingao uchungu bado yuko, lakini Mungu atawalipa kulingana na wale vile walitenda.
As other students celebrate the second anniversary, today Owala prays that he will heal completely to realize his ambition. His family now wants the government to continue supporting the family. Elvis Kosgei, KT News, in Uasin Gishu County.
All right, here's a question for you now. Do you know what it means to have the autism spectrum disorder? The truth is, not many people do. And this is exactly what this day, World Autism Awareness Day, is meant to do. Spread awareness so that communities can be more accommodative to adults and children with ASD. As Sharon Mamanyi reports, this is a development disorder that has no cure yet, but is only managed.
It is an easy Sunday for the family of Hilda Monchari and Lemi Nganga. Today, they get to spend quality time with their 5-year-old son, Jason. But it hasn't been an easy journey for this young family. At about 1 year of age, Jason was found to be suffering from autism spectrum disorder.
We realized our son couldn't walk, couldn't talk, and he was a little bit, he was not social.
As with many parents of autistic children, it wasn't easy getting precise knowledge of what ailed their son.
We started maybe researching on what probably could be wrong with our son, but still being hopeful that he is still okay, because as you know, when you have a boy, you're always told that sometimes they delay in certain aspects of life development.
But what exactly is the autism spectrum disorder? It is a lifelong condition that affects social interaction, communication, interest, and behavior. Conditions under this order vary in symptoms and severity among individuals, hence the term spectrum.
So parents sometimes have a diagnosis, they're hearing this word for the first time, they don't know where to go, what to do about it. So when we link the parents and the professionals together, they can see that there is hope out there.
Children on the autism spectrum in Kenya face so many challenges, with stigmatization topping the list.
So even the parents of neurotypical kids also need to be told what autism is, such that they're able to train their kids to accept other children the way they are and be accommodative of them.
Physical and financial access to education follows. Very few teachers in Kenya are trained to train children with autism. Private schools, which give specialized training, are often too costly.
We have to empower teachers so that they are able to work with all children, even children with autism. But we are also aware that there are other children who may not be able to follow the regular program. And as a result, we are ensuring that we are coming up with curriculum that will meet these students' needs.
The emotional and mental burden that parents with autistic children bear cannot be overstated. Some ASD champions in the country, such as the Kaizora Institute and the Differently Talented Society of Kenya, have sought to offer psychosocial support for these parents by bringing them together to share experiences, and for the past 7 years, organizing Autism Awareness and Fun Day.
Parents have psychosocial support, linking them to the professionals, and also in a lot of instances, we share our experiences and we help each other through.
To most parents, is even you can go to a point of depression because, you're now starting questioning. Like for my case, I had so many unanswered questions. Did I not take the right supplements during pregnancy? Is it the fact that I work in a radiation department that affected my unborn baby? But when you accept, that is the first step towards helping your child live a normal life.
The exact cause of autism is unknown, but neurologists associate it with genetics and environmental factors. As the world lights it up blue on this particular day, many children and adults on the autism spectrum in the country are still undiagnosed, misunderstood, and looking for help. A call for both communities and the government to work for more inclusion of persons living with ASD in the country. Sharon Momanyi, KTN News, at the Bomas of Kenya, Nairobi.
All right, so it is also another important day. Remember last week we started our fact check right here on Checkpoint, taking a look at all of those statements that are made by politicians and influencers alike. This is definitely something we'll be doing every week. So remember, if you've got anything you'd like us to fact check for you, please use the hashtag factcheck at Yvonne Okwara at KTN News, and I will be taking a look at that. Now, and I have a guest with me who is someone who will be with me for some time to come. Alphonse Shundu is the man behind Africa Check here in Kenya. He's the Kenya editor for Fact Africa Check. And this is important because today is, in fact, International Fact-Checking Day.
Yes.
So a great way to, of course, talk about that. So, Alphonse, you know, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about why this day is important. I mean, I think we all know fact-checking from Trump. He's literally fact-checked every minute. But why is this important here in Kenya right now?
All right, we are going to elections, and after we have seen what can happen to elections, given the phenomenon that is called fake news that has snowballed out of proportion in the last, one and a half years, that's a huge thing, and it's just an opportunity that the International Fact-Checking Network decided to set aside a day and say that this day, immediately after April Fool's Day, so people will be equipped with skills, basic skills, to fact-check the politics, fact-check the politicians, and fact-check journalism, and in everyday life. So if I say something that is not real, something that is not factual, somebody can, like a viewer out there, you can just think, that doesn't sound about right. And it makes people think before they click share. Makes people think before they click retweet. So today is International Fact-Checking Day, and thank you for hosting me again for this day, because there's a lot happening around the world, from Buenos Aires to Georgia.
That's right.
So so many things. The theme this year is Don't Be Fooled Again. And we're just trying to make people, the ones who were fooled yesterday with the stories about North Korea ballistic missile site in Kenya, they're not fooled again. So that's essentially why this day is important. And after this, we've put out how-to guides on the factcheckingday.com. And how to fact-check a politician and stuff like that. So anyone who reads that can listen and know if can make a judgment on whatever is being said is right or not.
Is true or not. Okay, so at Shundu, at Yvonne Okwara, if you've got anything fact-checked, if you need anything checked out. So today, let's start off with this one. So right after the president had his State of the Nation, Raila Odinga then had his alternative State of the Nation. He talked about this in Mathare, but this is also available on his website, so you can take a look at that. But these are just two of the facts that we want to check out today. Claim number one, this is what he said, and I quote, Jubilee took over a nation of 1.5 trillion shillings debt, and that debt is now 4 trillion shillings and rising. Is this true or not?
With this one, it's a bit tricky because we can't, with this one, we can't prove it.
Okay.
Yes, because the latest figures that we have about the debt, now this 4 trillion shillings, the latest data is in the Budget Policy Statement 2017. That document was released in November 2016. And it shows a debt of 3.77 trillion. Now, if you look at when Jubilee took over in March of 2013, the debt was 1.794 trillion. These are figures from the central bank. So we are using these figures, and we looked at it and said, because we don't know, when he makes a claim that it is 4 trillion right now, we can't tell. There is no other document that
but
verifies
based on the
this
budget
figure.
policy statement for 2017, could this have been a rough estimate? A little bit over, if it's 3.77 trillion according to the budget statement?
Yes, it's 3.77 trillion. Now, the thing with fact-checking is you try as much as possible to be accurate. Because when you are accurate, I know the context in which he was speaking was that he wanted to show that Jubilee has sort of mortgaged the country, it has ballooned the debt. So if you look at these figures from 1.7 trillion to 3.77 trillion, that's about 2 trillion in debt taken in 4 years. Now, if that was the context in which you were speaking, that would have been a bit right. But then we don't know the current number. Remember, this is April.
Yeah.
The last figures we have are of November 2016 in the budget statement. So because we can't prove it, we rate this claim
as unproven.
As unproven.
Okay, so this one's unproven. Let's take a look at the second claim that was made in former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's alternative state of the nation. So he talked about what's happening at the Securities Exchange. The pension funds and other investors in the Nairobi Stock Exchange lost, the Securities Exchange lost 120 billion shillings in 2016. And therefore, I think the statement he made after this is the slide continues.
Yes.
So how factual is this? And does this mean that the economy is in free fall or shambles, as we've heard, coming from this camp before?
Okay, we will decode this statement this way. So pension funds and other investors, we all know pension funds pension funds through the NSSF and through insurance companies are invested in the stock market. Yes. So other investors include banks and all those other companies, the 68 listed in the stock market.
Right.
So when he says that they lost 120 billion, we reached out to the experts on how best to calculate this.
Okay.
And the gracious Alihan Sachu and Caleb Mugendi from Saiton, they were gracious enough to tell us that if we use market capitalization to gauge this, we would be a bit right. So we looked at, because he's saying 2016, we looked at the market capitalization at the beginning, the first week of 2016.
Right.
What was it? And then we looked at the market capitalization at the last week of 2016. So the first week, it was 2.064 trillion.
Okay.
Yes, the last week it was 1.901. So you subtract and then you get 160 billion.
Okay.
So right
so
now,
this is in fact an understatement.
This is understated.
Okay.
Yes. The erosion in the value of stock market that has happened over 1 year, it's 162 billion.
Okay.
Yes. So this is an
understatement. To the extent that this, you know, is a reflection of the economy and where it is, what did the economists you spoke to say about this? Is it, you know, does this indicate that the economy is in a really bad place? I mean, can we say, based on this statement, that the economy is not doing well at all?
We can't say that, okay, this is why. There is no causal relationship between the stock market and the economy.
Okay.
Because if you look at the way the figures are right now, the economic figures for the last quarter of 2016 are not out yet, but the projections show it's going to grow at 5.7, 5.8, 5.9. Those are projections of the Parliamentary Budget Office.
Okay.
So if you look at that, and you really can't say that the economy is doing bad, but the way, the insight and the sense I got from what they told me was that if there is this happening in the stock market, they call it the bear market, where the trends are going down.
Right.
So if this happens, then it's perhaps a signal that things are not quite right, because there is not so much money in the economy and things are going down. But because we didn't set out to investigate that relationship of how the economy is doing and how the stock market is, we can't make a determination that because this is happening,
that the economy is in free fall. But this
fall.
is definitely an understatement.
This is an understatement. The figure that Honorable Odinga should have put here is 160 billion, which is huge, very
definitely
huge.
Much bigger than what was stated here.
Yes.
Thank you. That's Alphonse Shundu. He's the Kenya editor for Africa Check. He'll be with us every Sunday, taking a look at facts and figures and statements made by politicians, leaders and policymakers that require a little bit of checking. So what do you want us to check for you? Remember to use the hashtag #FactCheck. Next week, what are we taking a look at? The budget?
We might look at the budget.
We might look at the budget,
yes.
Yeah, we might look at the budget. Do you have any questions on that, or indeed any other claim that will be made over the next 7 days? At KTN News, at Yvonne Okwara, please use the hashtag #FactCheck, because that's how I'll be looking out for any of your queries. Alphonse, thank you very much. That's your fact check of the week. We want to take a short break right now. We'll be talking again about the economy and that budget. And there's some interesting findings from a survey that was done by Twaweza East Africa. I'll have those numbers for you. And then we will have my panel weigh in on whether Cabinet Secretary Rotich's budget was indeed pro-poor and whether it can solve some of the issues that we will highlight in our number. That's coming up after the break. You're watching Checkpoint. Stay with us.